What is the difference between American bison and European bison? Bison are iconic wild members of the cow family with a long, storied history. From their wide prehistoric range to their modern-day habitat war with humans, these animals have seen a thing or two over the years, and they have proven themselves to be resilient survivors during that time. In today's video, we will be taking a look at the two major groups of modern bison, the American subspecies and its European counterpart. What are the similarities between these two beasts? And crucially, what are the differences? Well, let's get started and find out, shall we? What is a bison? Bison are huge members of the Bovidae family, which is home to animals like our own domestic cattle, wild cow-like beasts like buffalo and gaur, and non-cow-like critters like sheep and antelope. The name bison is also the name of this animal's taxonomic genus. Many bison species have walked the earth throughout history and prehistory, but we only have two left today. The American bison, known to taxonomists as bison, is the best known. This iconic animal is a symbol of freedom in the great North American wilderness, with a vast historic range stretching from Alaska to Mexico. There were tens of millions of American bison in their heyday, and they were an immense ecological presence, as well as a vital resource for flora, predators, humans, and human ancestors. We have two subspecies of American bison: the plains bison, bison, and the woods bison, bison athabasca. The subspecies are pretty much the same, with a major exception of their general habitats. The other extant bison species lives in parts of Europe. The European bison, Bison bonasus, also known as the zebra or wison, is a highly endangered and less well-known cousin of the American kind. European bison are only restricted to one subspecies, Bison bonasus, and live in forest environments. Bison likely first emerged in Eurasia in the late Pliocene to early Pleistocene, about 3 to 2.6 million years ago. The general consensus is that they evolved from an ancient bovid called Leptobos, which was widespread on the continent during the Pliocene. The oldest bison fossils were unearthed in China and India, and dating technology places them at 3.4 to 2.6 million years old. In Europe, the earliest bison fossils were found in Georgia and date back 1.8 million years. In the Middle Pleistocene, Bison priscus, better known as the steppe bison, covered many parts of Eurasia. Thanks to the Bering Land Bridge, which connected the Eurasian Far East and Alaska, some individuals eventually made their way to North America. These steppe bison would diverge into Bison latifrons and Bison antiquus. DNA analysis shows that modern American bison evolved from antiquus during the late Pleistocene, around 100,000 years ago. The lineage of modern European bison is a little murkier because they were around during the Eurasian steppe bison's time, making them significantly older than the American bison. The general theory is that the European bison are a result of crossbreeding between steppe bison and other Eurasian species. Both American and European species have lived alongside humans for millennia, and they have been major parts of many different cultures. Native American tribes, for example, are renowned for their historic reverence of bison. The animals featured in art and mythology, and they were an important source of food and other resources like fats, skins, furs, and bones. Bones and skulls were used for decor and rituals, while other bones were used to craft tools, weapons, jewelry, and art. Symbolically, the bison was and still is admired for strength and loyalty. The American bison is still a big part of North American culture these days. It represents freedom, resilience, and general toughness. All kinds of people and organizations use it in symbols, logos, and even coats of arms. In Europe, bison was an equally important animal for prehistoric people who lived alongside them. They were harvested for the same reasons as their American cousins. They provided lots of meat and rich skins for protection from the elements. while bones, skulls, and teeth were repurposed in several ways. A big reason why we are so fascinated with bison, American or European, is their size and presence. These are massive, rugged wild cows that look, and are, very dangerous. Their reputation for deadly aggression precedes them. Huge bulk, crushing hooves, and sharp horns made for goring are a heck of a combination after all. These powerful weapons are crucial for defending against the bears, wolves, and humans on prowl in their neck of the woods. Both American and European varieties of bison are the largest land animals in their respective homelands. American bison can reach a maximum of 6 feet and 7 inches tall at the shoulder and have a nose-to-tail length of 11 feet and 6 inches. Weight can range between 880 and 2,800 pounds. European bison can be taller, reaching heights of 6 feet 11 inches. Body lengths are a bit shorter though, with 9 feet 6 inches being the upper limit. They weigh less than their American counterparts too, ranging between 1,800 and 2,200 pounds. In both species, males, also called bulls, are quite bigger than females, which are also called cows. Sometimes the biggest bulls can be twice the size of fully grown cows. Bison are generally nomadic creatures that are always on the lookout for the best grazing. Adult females and calves live together in herds led by elderly cows called matriarchs. Young bulls leave their natal herds at 2 to 3 years old and look to make their own paths in life. Bulls may form small bachelor groups that collaborate to seek food and avoid predators. Bulls and females mostly mix and mingle during the breeding season. At this time, bulls become highly aggressive and engage in battles with other bulls to secure mating rights. The massive beasts ram each other head first in powerful displays of power and will until someone gives up and is driven off by the victor. European bison bulls lock their horns and wrestle rather than ram each other. The winner gets his pick of the females and the opportunity to father a new generation of powerful bovines. One interesting thing about bison is how they are sometimes referred to as buffalo, which is actually a misnomer. Even official institutions and people use buffalo when they actually mean bison, which keeps the confusion alive. Sure, bison are large wild bovines that group in herds that dominate a landscape, but that does not make them real buffalo. True buffaloes actually belong to the Bubalina subtribe of Bovidae, while bison are classified under the Bovini subtribe. This means that bison are actually more closely related to Himalayan yaks than any true buffalo species. Yaks are also classified in the Bos genus, and some taxonomists even have suggested that bison be reclassified under this genus too, because of their genetic proximity. Additionally, European bison also share a lot of their mitochondrial DNA with aurochs and modern domestic cattle. How are American and European bison different? While they look really similar to the uninitiated, there are actually a few ways to tell the two bison species apart. Let's start by looking at the horns. American bison have horns that tend to point sideways and upwards, which is ideal for their headbutt style of fighting. European bison, on the other hand, have forward-pointing horns because their fighting style involves locking horns and wearing each other down with wrestling. When it comes to horns, European bison are much more similar to domestic cattle than their American kin. Next is the facial profile. Looking from the side, you can see that the American bison's forehead protrudes further forward than its snout. In contrast, the European bison's snout-to-forehead ratio is reversed, with its nose protruding further forward than its forehead. These different facial profiles are influenced by feeding habits, with the American bison being grazers for the most part, while European bison browse different kinds of vegetation. Posture is also tied to these feeding habits. As browsers, European bison have a more upright posture and tend to hold their heads higher than American bison. A lower head position gives the American bison far easier access to grass than the European bison. Then we have the hump, which is probably the easiest way to tell these animals apart. American bison have larger thoracic vertebrae than their European relatives, as well as more pronounced muscles in the upper back. The result is that the American bison's hump is far more pronounced than the European bison's, giving the former a kind of lopsided look. European bison have a far more even-looking back, which makes them look like domestic cattle. Fur is another way to tell them apart. European bison don't get as shaggy as their North American counterparts, who look like they're sporting some extreme jackets in the winter. Both species do grow winter coats when temperatures drop, but the American bison's coat is significantly fluffier. You can also look at tails. American bison have short, stubby tails, while the European variety has a longer and hairier tail. Next, we have the obvious geographic and habitat differences. You're highly unlikely to spot American bison in Europe, and even less likely to find European bison in the US or Canada. Then there is size, though this is difficult to determine just by looking because individuals in both species generally overlap. However, American bison can reach heavier body masses and higher body lengths than their European kin. However, European bison have taller shoulder heights because they have longer legs than American bison. Under the skin, there are a bunch of skeletal differences. For starters, American bison have 15 ribs versus the European bison's 14. The former also has 4 lumbar vertebrae compared to the latter's 5. The American bison's first lumbar vertebra isn't counted as such because it is attached to ribs and is therefore considered to be an extrathoracic vertebra instead. Finally, we have differences related to temperament. Both animals are 100% wild and 110% dangerous, which is why they should be avoided or observed from safe distances or behind barriers. That said, a number of people have tried their hands at taming these beasts, and the results are quite surprising. It turns out that the more wild-looking American bison has a much more tameable nature than the European species. Bison have actually been kept as pets and livestock in the Americas for centuries and can be fairly docile and sweet farm animals that get along with everyone. The European bison, however, has a much wilder spirit, which makes it far harder to tame.